Country Podcast Edition.
I've always been around great songwriters and artists my whole life. I'm Michael Knox. Welcome to my world.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Aldean, and you are listening to my boy Michael Knox on Knox Country
Podcast.
Welcome to the Knox Country Syndicated Radio Show podcast. Welcome to the show. This week we have Liz Rose. I've known Liz a very long time, knew her back in the 90s when she first came to town, and knew her way before she even started working with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, she's worked with Taylor. She's written huge songs for Little Big Town, Eli Young Band. I mean, she's just had a huge success, won Grammys, ACM, CMAs. I'm really excited for the listeners to hear her story.
Do you remember kind of when we first kind of bumped paths at Warner Chapel back in the late 90s?
Yeah, but actually I think I was a plugger then.
Yeah, yes you were.
I was a plugger then. I wasn't.
Yeah, who were you working with at that time?
I was working independent for Kent Blasey and Will Robinson and Jason Bloom.
That's where we met each other, because when I was independent, I was plugging for Kent Blasey.
Yeah.
And back in the 92.
Okay, and then I must have come after you.
Yeah.
So, and then, I had an independent plugging company, and then I got, started a company with, I had King Lizard Publishing. Yep. So, yeah. And then I started writing.
Yeah, that's great. I forgot all about you coming from the plugin world. But you come from Texas, right? Mm-hmm. What was that background? Were you writing then? I mean, what made you come to Nashville from Texas?
Oh, gosh. Well, no, I wasn't writing. My ex at the time, well, he wasn't my ex at the time, but so I guess he would have been my husband at the time. He's my ex now.
Good times.
We decided, hey, I said I got no secrets. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he was a writer, and we just decided to move to Nashville. We loved it. We had a lot of friends here. So when we got here, I kind of, my kids got in school like a year in, and I just decided I wanted to work, and somebody hired me to be a song plugger. So I took that job, and then, I started my own company and started a plugging company. And then I had another company, and I started writing with one of my writers and just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, that's good, man. Because a lot of people don't understand what that first thing to reach your goal is just jumping off a cliff.
I'm always jumping off a cliff. Ask Lori and Hillary. I'm always the first one to jump off the cliff. Yeah,
and so early on when you had your independent company, is that when you ran across, I mean, because a lot of people don't know this, but you were a big part of Taylor Swift getting developed, kind of getting to that next level, helping her kind of find her way, to get started. Was that part of all that time frame?
No, I was writing for Jody Williams then.
Okay.
Jody had heard a couple of songs that I had written with another writer, and he talked me into being a songwriter. And so he signed me to a deal and made me write songs, and that's how I met Taylor.
But that's awesome. I mean, where did that transition happen? When did you just go, hey, I'm going to start writing?
When Jody told me he'd pay me to do it.
But had you never written a song before
amazing that?
Answer. Very few. I'd never written, really. I'd written a couple of songs as a joke,
Yeah.
But never really written until I started writing with Kim Patton.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple of songs with her, and then Jody heard those songs and called me and said, I think you're a songwriter.
That's awesome.
And so this was later in life when you started writing.
Yeah. I was probably about 38.
Oh, my gosh.
Then he said he'd pay me to do it, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I'll do it. And
that's
how long can
motivator.
I make this thing last? Yeah.
That's always a good motivator, getting paid.
Yeah. Well, when you're single, because by then I was divorced. So I was, single again. So I needed the money. It's like, okay.
So
I'll write songs.
You met Taylor through Jody, or?
Well, I met her. She was, she was on RCA at first. And so it's so funny because I things always happen when I do something that I really don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they were doing that. Remember the RLG Cafe?
Yep.
Which I had never sung in front of people before. So I went over there to sing 2 songs for whoever was there, and she happened to be there. And Leslie Roberts had been trying to set us up, but Taylor was at that deal and just asked me if I wanted to write because she liked my songs.
Now, at that time, she was like, what, 12, 13?
I think she was 13.
Yeah. And so y'all started writing, and then she left RCA. Mm-hmm. And did you keep writing to help build that for the next pitch?
I just kept writing with her because I loved writing with her. I didn't care what she did. Yeah. I knew she'd do something. I mean, her drive was just unbelievable. And her passion and her talent, and it was easy. And I think by then she may have quit co-writing with anyone but me.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, so they had that little transition. She got her deal, and y'all had a great run of hits.
Mm-hmm, we did.
Y'all had a massive run of hits. And did you ever go on the road? Did you ever do those kind of things with her and write, or did you always have a rhythm here in town?
We didn't. I went out on the road to see a show, and that's where we wrote Fearless. But what's so funny is that when she was out on the road and doing the bus thing before it got so huge that she didn't have any time at all, and she wrote a lot by herself on the road. But I broke my foot in Key West, and I
remember this.
Do you remember that?
I was there. I remember this. You just said that. I remember that.
I broke my foot in Key West, and I think that was kind of the time frame when you could go out. It was not so crazy out there that I could have jumped on the bus and gone out, but I was on crutches for like 6 months. Yep. So no, but she was writing a lot by herself on the bus, and there was a very short time frame when she might have had time to do that, but very quickly she got huge and busy, and that show was growing. So yeah, we never did that.
Well, what were your first handful of hits you wrote with her?
Gosh, Tim McGraw,
Teardrops on My Guitar.
Teardrops on My Guitar.
You Belong With Me.
You Belong With Me was on Fearless, a lot of those, my favorite songs weren't ever singles, like Cold As You and Picture to Burn.
Yeah.
And White Horse, which won a Grammy, so that was fun.
Well, the Tim McGraw song, that was always a cool moment when she sang it at the awards.
That was amazing.
And walked up to him and goes, "Hey, I'm Taylor." That was a classic moment.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the type of person, she is? I mean, because to do that young and just...
I guarantee, yeah, that's the way she thinks. She doesn't sit back and go, there are boundaries here. She's more like, it would be cool if I just walk off the stage and walk up to Tim McGraw and sing to him. Nobody, what was she, 15?
Right.
Yep.
Who has that? Who's got that moxie to know that you could just, so she made things exciting again.
And she grew real fast.
Yes, she did.
I mean, I remember seeing her at Fanfare when she was on RCA, and then seeing her when Tim McGraw
she played Riverfront.
Yes.
Or wait, maybe Riverfront was when Tim McGraw was coming out. So
yeah. I just remember that, and she was struggling, and then boom, she was a superstar. You know, and that's part of her confidence, I believe.
Well, when Tim McGraw came out, when the first single came out, I saw her play Riverfront at CMA Fest. And when she walked out on that stage, she had on, the dress that was flowing just the right way. Her hair was flying. She walked out there with a guitar and her boots, and without saying it, looked at all those people and said, "Look here and don't look away, because you're going to remember this forever." And I remember that day. It was unreal. I was like, holy cow. I'd never seen her perform. And man, she just took it over.
So you started out as a song plugger, worked your way into being a songwriter. Now you're working your way into being a publisher and finding talent and signing it, as well as writing as well. I mean, you've done these three facets of the business. I mean, is there one you enjoyed a little more than the other, or is it all kind of a different beast for you?
Well, I love the publishing because I love to see writers see their dreams come true. If that's corny, it's what it is. So there's nothing like watching a writer have their first number one and being there to, to know that you helped and to see them so just blown away. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. But I love writing, so I love that part too.
Well, we just shared a number one recently, Drowns to Whiskey,
Jeff Middleton.
that I cut on Jason. And, now Jeff had a real job, and then he wrote that song and then it went number one. So that's got to be what you're talking about. The excitement of watching somebody lift like that.
Yeah, that is just, because I watched him struggle and give up and go get a job. And so, the day he took that job was the day he found out that the song had been cut. Oh. And so that was a cool moment.
And I have to say, side note, your plaque was amazing. The plaque that your company made
for that thing. Was it cool?
It was amazing. Everybody was talking about that. Everybody wanted that plaque.
Good. Hey, this is Liz Rose, and you're listening to Knox Country
Podcast.
Now, what was the first number one that your company had?
It might have been I'm Coming Over. Chris Young, Corey Crowder wrote it. Yeah. Might have been I'm Coming Over, and then, I don't know, maybe... Well, Girl Crush went to 2. Hooked went to 2.
Girl Crush went to 2.
Uh-huh. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing.
It was
I'm just shocked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it went to 2.
But it was a huge song.
Yeah. I mean,
wait a
CMA
minute.
Song of the Year,
Yes.
Grammy Country Song of the Year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you learn something new every day.
It's just weird how
Who
those
says
things
two's
fall.
the first loser? Come
It
on.
doesn't matter,
But before we move on, kind of tell me how that Girl Crush came about,
Just, we do our Love Junkie thing, me and Hillary Lindsay and Lori McKenna, and we spend 3 days at my house and slumber party for 3 days. It was an idea Lori had, and she thought it would be cool, and she had the idea in her head. It just took sitting down and Hillary to start playing Hillary literally just sat down and started playing the first 4 lines of it. And we jumped on the couch and went, that's what we were thinking. And it went so fast. It was like, yeah, and the girl, and she wants to be the girl. And I mean, we wrote it really fast.
So name the group. What's the gang y'all are part of?
The squad.
We're called the Love Junkies.
The Love Junkies. Y'all got merch?
Yes, we do. I'll send you some.
That's
I need
amazing.
some.
That's
I'll wear that.
amazing.
I'll wear that all
And y'all
day.
literally have slumber parties. I mean, you guys get
We
together.
literally have I mean, not as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Hillary has a young one, but we try and do at least a couple of nights, and but we do spend 3 days together writing.
But what a perfect fit, that song with that band. What
it
a
was
perfect
amazing.
fit. I mean, I really don't know. I'm trying to think in my head. I'm sure Carrie could have made a jab at it and co Miranda, but when you see them do it, it's a whole different deal. That's awesome.
Well, they picked up on that, because they came over that afternoon and wanted to know what we'd been writing, and we played them that, and they just went, oh my gosh, we're going to play it for the guys, and that's it. That's ours. We're going to do it.
Was there any, pushback from anyone on that song? Did anyone say, oh, it might be a little
I don't think so.
gay? Or
I don't think so. I mean, I know that there wasn't pushback from Jay Joyce, from the label, from anybody that heard it. I think as they got into it, there was some station that said, but I don't know. I think everybody got through it and just realized for the sake of the song, and really it's like Bobby Bones said, he told people just listen to it.
Exactly.
So, not being a songwriter, what's your favorite song that you've got to be a part of?
Not being a songwriter?
Yeah. I mean, would it be a Drowns to Whiskey?
Oh yeah,
Or would it be?
It would be Drowns of Whiskey, and it would be Every Little Thing. I think it's all.
Tell me about that.
I love Chris Young, so it's been really fun to be part of those. But seeing Emily Shackleton, 8 years in, and finally gets her first number one.
Yeah, and those are cool moments. Coming from the publishing world and watching writers go to that other place is amazing.
And I mean, like having Seth Ennis as an artist, but he gets has a hit on Hooked with, So it's pretty. It's fun. It's fun. And at a certain time we had like 6 songs on the charts, and we're an independent, so it's like when it kind of goes, you go, okay, what's going on? When is that happening again? It always comes back around.
So who are your current writers right now?
Phil Barton,
Love.
me too. Emily Shackleton, Cameron Bedell, Seth Ennis, Alyssa Michaela. Is that it? I always forget somebody.
But this is something you
I
started
forget?
all by yourself.
And well, not all by myself. My son, Scott, my business partner, and my son, Scott Ponce. Basically, I was out of a deal and didn't really know where I wanted to go, because it was one of those deals where I really needed a publisher, and I really needed guidance, and a champion. And so it was kind of during in the Taylor Swift days where, I didn't want to sign with somebody just because they thought they were going to get Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
And so I was like really not knowing where I wanted to go. So I had Scott move back to town and said, why don't you pitch my songs? And then I handed him a computer. I got remarried and moved to Dallas and said, call this person and this person. See ya.
Thanks, Mom.
And he met Emily Shackleton, called me and said, I think we should sign this writer. And that's how we ended up having a publishing company. We never, people talk about proposals and all this stuff. It's like, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he wasn't in the business before.
No.
But that's incredible.
And he's incredible. Yeah. So then we signed Emily, and then I think we signed, we're 8 years in, and
But it sounds like your whole journey has been like that.
An accident?
Well, and just this felt right. This feels right.
A jumping off a cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's been good.
That's the awesome story that people need to hear, because the reason we have you here, not only as being a songwriter, but also being a publishing business owner, showing people those different elements of how to own your own product, how to go to the next level, using everything you've been using to get to that next place.
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly learning. I mean, the business is changing so much, but the core of it doesn't, and that's songs. So you got to take care of songwriters and make sure great songs are out there so that the business of music continues to go. Yeah.
You've written one of my favorite LeeAnn Womack songs, "The Wrong Girl."
The Wrong Girl. Oh my God, I love that song so much.
I love it's in my Spotify playlist.
Is it?
Like
I love that song. I wrote it with Pat McLaughlin.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, it was there a funny story or a special story? It was just kind of one of those things that just...
He just turns things so well. And I think I just had the idea of you got the wrong girl. It wouldn't have turned out like that if I'd written it with anybody but Pat.
Yeah.
Pat has such a great spin on things.
Now, do you play an instrument?
No.
See, and that's another fascinating thing.
I'm learning guitar, yeah.
But that's what fascinates me. It's like you wasn't a songwriter,
Yeah, I wasn't a songwriter.
I'm a song. Now you're an amazing songwriter, and it's like you didn't feel, the pressure to have to learn, an instrument or anything like that.
No.
You just embrace the fact that I have these ideas. I'm pretty good at it.
I'm good. I can rhyme.
See?
Well, but a good thing from the past that I remember is you were a good critiquer, and that's a good person to have in the room too.
Yeah.
Somebody that goes, "Hey guys, this isn't complete. This needs to be pushed a little bit here."
Yeah. Or you need a bridge, and why don't you say this? Yeah, that's probably how I fell into it.
Yeah.
Was fixing songs. It was always that red flag feeling, that when you're listening to a writer's songs, you kind of go, somewhere and you go, yeah, something's not right there. What if you fix that?
Yeah.
Of course, I don't ever want anybody telling me that, but
I edit the songs, not you.
Yeah, that's my part.
Knox Country Podcast Edition.
Some of you know me as a record producer for acts like Jason Aldean and Thomas Rhett. Others know me as the son of rock and roll legend Buddy Knox, Party Doll fame back in 1957. I'm Michael Knox. Welcome to my world. You're listening to Knox Country
Podcast.
Hey, this is Keith Urban.
What's up, y'all? It's your boys here, Florida Georgia Line.
Hey, this is Little Big Town.
And you're listening to Knox Country.
You've entered Knox Country.
Welcome back to the Knox Country Podcast. Well, I mean, is there another place you're wanting to go now that the publishing thing is successful, the songwriting thing successful, you were a successful plugger? Is there a fourth element to this that you want to do?
yeah, I want to go to the beach. No, you know what?
Is there a way to make money doing that? Because I'll be right there
You
with
will
you.
find it. You are good at finding ways.
No, actually, I think what we're more than anything is developing artist writers, still developing new writers. You know, I'm a firm believer in still signing baby writers and developing them. And not a lot of people in town are doing that, you know, so... Well, they are, but...
Well, the independent companies have to because they can't compete. Like, if I like a writer and then all of a sudden Warner Chappell and Sony are liking them, they're going to outbid me.
I know.
You know, so it's tough to get that. So I know when I sign a writer, you know, over at Peer, then I know that they want to be there, you know, because there are people offering more money. So those are always the challenge on Music Row.
It's true. It is hard. So, you know, I think we're getting more into... you know, artist, writer, management, just in the publishing world of developing a writer artist to get them ready for a deal.
Yeah.
And it is something I don't know how to do, and I'm trying, and it's really hard. It's really hard. Can you tell me how you do that? You know, and I tend to, like Seth, Seth Ennis got a deal really quick. And you know, it's the females. I gravitate to the female writer artists, and man, I am pushing that boulder uphill right now, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It is tough.
It's okay. I love it. It's, you know, when something breaks, it's going to be amazing.
But that's how it's supposed to happen anyway. That's where the special ones come from, or the ones that earn it and fight that fight.
Yeah, but they don't, and the avenue, we don't have the avenues. You know, I was talking about this the other day. You know, you remember how many girls got their record deals off singing demos?
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
So now they've got to be a songwriter to get anything heard.
Or a touring artist.
Yeah.
That is touring in a market kind of made for a college campus, which is difficult for some of those, you know, female artists to kind of go attack, you know, Georgia University.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard on the young guys too, but for some reason it's, you know, it's just
Why do you think
different.
that is? Because there can be an abundance of young male artists and more kind of find their way through, but if there are a lot of females, you're almost done.
I just think there's a lot of boys that will jump in a van with a bunch of boys and drive around the country and, you know, sleep on couches and sleep in vans. It's, you know, I don't want to say it's harder for a girl, but let's be realistic.
It's tough.
And how many mothers are going to let their 18, 19-year-old daughter jump in a van with a bunch of boys and drive all over the country?
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how to support these girls. We have to figure out how to get them out on the road in a safe environment. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to get them out there, and some of them know. I mean, I'm working with a girl right now. She's 19 years old. She's been getting in a car since she was 16, 17, driving all over the country, booking her own shows. But, you know, those are rare.
Yeah.
Ashley McBrides are, you know, I mean, some, you know, most of these girls, they come to town and they go to Belmont and they're, you know, and they're going, okay, I'm a great singer. I'm working so hard. I'm writing songs. What do I do?
Yeah.
And we go, well, you need to be touring. You got to get your socials up and you need to get on the road. And they're going, how How do I go find four guys that are going to get on the road and not get paid anything and drive around the country with
not
me?
to mention to play in some of the places they'd have to play for 4 hours and not get worn out or not,
But you know what? They can do it.
They can do it.
If we give them permission and we tell them they can do it and we give them some kind of inroad, a lot of times you'd get a manager early. You'd get a manager early on that would help navigate that. And managers aren't willing to work for, there's none of those baby managers anymore. Yeah. Because to be a manager, you got to be really good. Mm-hmm. And there's some incredible managers out there.
To add to that, can you say in the 90s we had a different A&R situation?
Absolutely.
People were developing talent. The record labels were developing
and
talent.
Supporting the talent.
Yes. And today, do you genuinely think it's the best A&R situation where they're going, I always blame the creative output of our town on the people that are making the music because they're the ones picking what we hear. So they got to take some responsibility in what they're signing and what they're pushing on the public. I'm a big believer in that maybe they're not finding the right ones. Maybe they're not pushing the right ones on us.
Well, I don't know what the reasons are for signing an artist. I don't. If it's socials and all that stuff, I don't get that because that's not real.
Yeah.
We all know that that's not really real. So, there are people that you can hire to make you have like tons of impressions and then all of a sudden you're like really hot and you've got a record deal. But there's a lot behind it and it works, because the label gets behind them and, they've got this machine behind them. So I don't know. I don't know that they get to get out and dig for things. Finding something through YouTube and I guess it works. I don't know.
I'm just wondering too if some people and they're afraid to commit, maybe because they're afraid of it not working and maybe not wanting to stick their neck out for people. You're signing your writers, like you said, Emily, 8 years before?
Yeah.
Jason, how long did you work with him before? But there's something you see in these people and you stick with it.
Right.
And so I think it's really hard sometimes for these young artists coming to know who to trust.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you don't have the money behind you, it's like, who's going to do it for free?
Well, and I think there's more people coming in wanting record deals and wanting to do this. And there's so many different reasons to sign people. And so I think the labels sign a lot of people, a lot of acts, and it takes a long time to get, if you go back and look at the 90s and the MCA days, they signed an act and they made it happen. They did everything in their power to make it happen. They didn't sign 5 bands. They didn't sign, they had Reba and George and, the
Mavericks, David Lee Murphy.
Mark Chestnut.
Yeah.
But I can remember when they would find those acts and sign them and put everything behind them.
They believed in them.
Everybody knew who they were. Now it's like there's just so many.
Yeah. Well, but take this concept one more step further. A&R isn't operating. The people that are signing acts aren't operating like you do or like me. They're not signing people on gut. They're signing people on some type of information they're getting. They're not walking into a strip mall at a talent show going, that person's a star and I'm going to work with them until it happens. They're walking in going, that person's awesome. What's your socials look like? How are you doing? How many video streams you got? What do you got going on? There's nobody in that situation, I don't think, these days that are operating off that gut emotion of, man, I love you and I'm going to die. I'm going to push and ram this into the country music fans until they love it.
But I bet if you ask most of them, they wish that their jobs were still like that.
Yeah.
I bet they wish that they were still walking in and traveling around and seeing people on a stage.
It started changing in that, when I couldn't get anybody out to showcases because it was after 6. People just quit going out listening to music.
And there's nothing worse in this town than a showcase.
I know. Once you say showcase, they're walking into past.
Well, it's just such a terrible environment.
Yeah.
It's we don't, nobody smiles. Everybody's arms are crossed. There's no party. And you're going, oh, and by the way, this is life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Today, in 30 minutes, is going to determine your future. All your dreams will be killed in 30 minutes.
How about
it just doesn't, it's
How
crazy.
about the boardroom?
Oh, listen, I don't even want to talk about that. This taking them in and then everybody sitting in a chair and making them stand up in the room and sing.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
We'll never do that to another one of my artists again.
Isn't that terrible?
Sorry, whoever's listening.
It's
but
true,
it
though,
is.
it's terrible.
It's not fair.
No. Hey guys, it's Shalacy. Check us out on the web at knoxcountry360.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at knoxcountry360.
But also these days, a lot of the artists can get a lot of attention on socials and not ever earn their stripes playing live. And then you sign them and you're like, oh my God, this person...
We have to go teach them how
this person doesn't know how to entertain. They don't know how to do an audience. So it's such a trick right now to find those creative kind of situations where it all lines up great for you.
It's crazy. I mean, there's just no characters anymore.
Yeah.
Remember Marty Brown?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, didn't they find Marty Brown in a gutter or something?
Yeah.
And he was amazing. He was amazing.
But I've always said our format has great singers singing great songs, but we don't have a lot of artists.
We don't.
And I think that's my push on the creative leaders in town is they're not signing artists anymore. They're signing singers that sound great on these demos that are put together by some engineer laptop.
Yeah.
And that's what's frustrating for me. But, when you have something you believe in and they're like, well, what are their socials? And I'm like, well, I just found them. But they're ready, man. This is it. This guy's been playing the clubs. This is ready to go. Or this girl's been playing.
Give me $5,000 and I'll show you some socials.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can do that in a couple of weeks.
I miss, I just remember these strong females, these forces.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I think is wrong. They all think they have to write their own songs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you. And look at
Let's talk about if Trisha Yearwood somebody had said, you want to try and get a record deal, you need to go write songs.
Yeah.
So was she going to take 2-3 years? I mean, we have a
she's
writer.
Not any good.
Yeah, they have to learn how to write and they have to find their voice. But you can also take this is the town of the best songs in the world. And so you just kind of have to take them, and we've got to change that mentality of they don't have to write all their songs. I know that's good for the publisher, but they'll learn how to write. Mm-hmm. Go get them the best song that they could possibly get.
Patty Loveless.
And have them cut those songs and go get. That's the thing. We got into this mindset of everybody has to write their own songs.
Do you think that was a crutch that was kind of used maybe?
No, that was invented in the 90s so people could collect more money off a share.
And the labels.
I mean, a lot of my favorite female artists didn't write.
Yeah, you said Patty Loveless.
Yes.
I mean,
Reba didn't really. Some of the biggest acts, male or female, didn't. Jason doesn't write.
Mm-hmm. But do you remember when it started getting bad?
Oh yeah, it was like
when I can start telling you the artists that shouldn't have been writing their songs. They were incredible when they came out because they did other people's songs, and then suddenly they were songwriters.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it, but we saw it happen.
Yes. Yeah, the late 90s, it was really kicking in hard where that became the regular thing. And now it's almost a regular thing. And whenever I have these artists coming in with me right now, I'm like going, well, dude, why write that? We have this one. I already have a song that you're not going to beat. Let's just cut this one. Well, I want to be able to write so people respect me. And I'm like, well, why don't you have a hit so they'll care to know you?
Yes, that's great.
Let's do that. But don't sing a song you don't love. But don't try to beat a song that you love just because your name ain't on it.
Right. That's true. I mean, I've got a girl right now I'm working on. We did 3 outside songs. She wrote 2 of them, and they were good, and they fit. But everything else, she didn't write. We just went and found the best songs for her.
And why is it wrong to not say, hey, I love this song, and I'm respecting the songwriters? This is their craft. This is what they're good at. This is what they're meant to do. To me, that shows even more respect, because knowing that, I couldn't possibly write a song like, a Neil Thrasher could write. So it's like, why try?
Well, here's the other thing, though, is that because publishers are now A&R people, what else is in it? They need that artist to be writing, or how can they invest in them?
Selfish question, but I love tchotchkes. I love, shopping and stuff. Different, like my house. I know, she's putting it down. I just read somewhere
I got thirsty.
That you were, you kind of like maybe dabble in, you enjoy maybe finding things. And
I do. I love to shop.
See, so is it everything, or is it like, because I don't like to shop for clothes, but I'll go look for something for my house that I don't need.
I love to watch for rugs. I really love.
So do you have
rugs.
like 3,000 rugs in your house?
Pretty much. In my garage.
Is this the part of the show where we're QVC or something?
This is a selfish thing because I like finding. I like thrift stores and just.
I do too. I just don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to do that. And so like if I go shopping, I go in and I want this. My business manager hates me. And I grab it and I go and I'm out. I'm not an all day shopper.
I'm a quick shopper. I mean, I can walk through the flea market and find a couple of cool things, but I'm real fast about looking for it.
See,
like I went to the flea market about 3 years ago and walked in and found a Dolly Parton pinball machine. Bought it out. It's the first thing I saw.
Really?
Bought it. I was gone.
See, I'm all about the hunt.
I'm not a browser. I'm not a hunter.
I'm a hunter. See, I like books, though. I like collecting old books.
I'm a finder and a buyer, and I'm out.
Yeah, I don't want to go hunting through there and finding that Conjuring doll and bring it home with me.
Yeah.
Well, Liz Rose, this has been amazing. One of my favorite songwriters in town because I love your story, love your path, and love where you're headed now. So this is awesome, and I love that you're here.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Knox Country.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Knox Country Podcast. Special thanks go out to co-host Miss Shalacey Griffin and producer Donnie Walker. See you next time.
You've entered Knox Country Outtakes.
Hey, this is Liz Rose, and you're listening to Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood.
We have to talk about that. How do we not talk about that song?
I don't know.
Okay. Forget him. Okay. So, Cry Pretty. Mm-hmm. Huge song and a huge... Oh, damn it.
We're men. We have hair. It's a different deal. Not where we want it.
It's not a pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. TMI.
I'm not saying go find them in the gutters, but I'm just saying.
But can you imagine the ones who are missing out? Because nobody's going...
Because they're not checking the gutters?
They're not. They don't have Facebook accounts.
That was such a... Cut that out. Don't put that in there. That was stupid, Liz.
Yep.
But then it's like it's killing us. It's like...
Well, we got we got too serious.
Okay. Let's... Whatever.
I'm teasing.
So okay.
If you're first, you're last. I mean, if you're last, you're first.
And that was
what is it? If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But before
if you're first, you're last. I need my own damn record label so I can sign some of this damn talent.
This will be on the podcast. No.
Hey, y'all, this is Liz Rose. Fuck all y'all.
That's awesome.
Knox Country Podcast Edition.